All right, this is part 3 of a 3-part series. It's just tough for us to talk about 30 picks in a 30-minute episode, so we decided to break this up into 3 episodes. So this is James Barlowe, my brother. This is part 3 of his mock draft. We are going to cover picks 21 through 30. If you missed the first episode, we covered picks 1 through 10. The last episode was 11 through 20, and now we're at 21 through 30. James has already had quite a few surprises. Some people are going to like it. Some people are going to think he's absolutely crazy. But that's what happens in every single mock draft. People are always going to disagree, and people are going to dislike the picks for their team. So stay tuned in this episode. See what surprises James has in store. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, the director of scouting for NBA Big Board and the founder of NBA Draft Junkies. And my co-host for today, like I mentioned in the open, is my brother, James Barlowe. Now, if you are not subscribed to the channel, like, share, subscribe, comment, make sure you click the bell so you can be notified every time we drop. Because the goal is to drop 5 episodes per week. I mentioned in the second episode, the production has been down. My wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. I spent last week in the hospital. So yeah, but she's back home now. She's recovering. So I should be able to meet my goal of about 19 episodes per month. But before we get into this episode, I want to let you know that it's brought to you by FanDuel, which is America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. Part 3. This is the last of James's mock. At least, we'll probably have another one before we get to the NBA draft, which is, it's coming up. I think the lottery is like 18 or 19 days away. All right, at number 21, the New Orleans Pelicans are on the clock. Who do you have the Pelicans selecting at number 21?
Devin Carter.
Okay, so is he going to... do you see him as like your point guard? Is he going to address your point guard needs, or is he going to be a bigger version of Jose Alvarado? Because I feel like they don't have... they're not as bad as Phoenix as far as just like not having a point guard, but I feel like they could use another table setter that's kind of doing like this committee thing. But Carter adds defense, more size than Alvarado. So is that your thinking there?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a big believer in point Zion, man. So I don't need a table setter. Like, Zion is going to draw all the defense that, he's going to make everything easier. And like I said, I'm buying bigger utility guard. We'll call them utility guards, whatever, where I need you to rebound. I need you to play defense. I need you to make open shots. That's what I'm trying to build around Zion and, potentially Brandon Ingram if they decide to figure out how that situation goes. And just like he could, I feel like if he wanted to play small, because again, they are going to lose, I believe, Najee Marshall in free agency. Big Najee Marshall fan. I mentioned it before. Those are the kind of 3-and-D guys that I like. All right. So they're gonna lose him in free agency. He's gonna get paid. They need somebody to fill some wing minutes there. I'm not a big Dyson Daniels fan because I just don't think he can shoot. But if Devin Carter can shoot, no, he's not as tall as Dyson Daniels, but he's going to bring it on defense. He's going to bring that competitive edge. And I feel like that's what, along with a big man, that's what the Pelicans need.
Yeah, Devin Carter was Big East Player of the Year, 37% from 3. On paper, you look at his stats, you can say he had an outlier year as far as shooting. He was much improved there, but is a phenomenal rebounder for a guard. Averaged 8.7 rebounds per game, 19.7 points. Also averaged a block a game and 1.8 steals. So you got 2.8 stocks. It's almost like when you listen...
love him in the Smoothie King Center, man.
It's like when you look at the numbers and listen to him. Points, 19.7. Rebounds at guard, 8.7. He was efficient from three. The defense, like, I mean, if he falls this far, I mean, he could actually go
I
higher.
wouldn't be surprised if he didn't.
Is what I'm trying to say,
I agree with
especially
you.
for one of the teams that is looking to compete right away. I mean, shoot, if I'm Orlando, I may even think about that.
I was getting ready to say the same thing.
Even though that would be like a point guard for like 5 straight years or something like that. They got to figure something out and condense it, but they need shooting. All right. At number 22, it is the Phoenix Suns. Please tell me you have a point guard or some plan to add some type of point guard to the mix.
I thought about going with a point guard here, but I feel like they're not going to do that because they are stuck with those three guys and they're going to have to figure out those minutes there. I am not too high on this young fella, but I'm going to go with Kyle Filipowski right here at 22.
Okay.
I feel like
why Filipowski?
Their center rotation is just not good. And
Okay.
maybe he can shoot. I think he can pass. We're not asking him to post up in Phoenix. No way. Those days are done. But maybe the shooting is real at what he shoot. He ended up shooting like 36% from three.
34.8%, but he was below 70%
34%.
from the foul line.
Yeah. I think he's a backup big man, and they need a lot of stuff at Phoenix. Like maybe he can shoot, maybe his I like to call on the ground athleticism translates and it works out for him. But again, I've seen him in the lottery. I don't really feel like he's a lottery pick.
So are you going with the Phoenix Suns? I'm putting on my hater hat here. Center rotation of Yusuf Nurkic, Drew Eubanks, and Kyle Filipowski.
Drew Eubanks gotta go, man.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, is that your 3-man
Yeah.
center rotation?
Look, man, they need help at the point. Well, they're not gonna play a point guard. I don't think you can. Who's gonna? Yeah, you can't play a point guard.
I mean, I think
don't
you
know
got to
what
at
they're
least
gonna
have
do,
one
man.
on the roster. Like, they don't even have one on the roster.
Well, let me tell you what I'm not going to do with that team is we're not going to try out a rookie point guard.
Well, for me,
So,
which is not my show, well, not my order, I think I would go with Tyler Kolek here. I would go with at least a playmaker, a table setter, led the nation in assists this year, and he also shot an efficient 38% from 3, 85% from the foul line. Again, I don't need him to be the guy, but if he can knock down open shots and at least be a table setter, that would be my choice. My choice there. 7.7 assists. Led the nation assists, 15 points per game.
I try to see it with Tyler Kolek, but I just don't.
Okay, that's fair. You don't have to see
they gonna cook me for that one. That's fine. I just don't see not see NBA player. I just don't see first round pick.
Okay.
I'm trying.
All right. Next up on the clock. So James,
Hold on, man.
I'm giving James a hard time. He failed to address the Suns' point guard needs.
The Suns need everything,
At
man.
22. All right, at number 23, it is the Milwaukee Bucks. If you are Milwaukee, who are you selecting at numero 23?
All right. I apologize in advance if I don't say the young fella's name right. Nikola Djurisic.
From Serbia.
Yes, from Serbia. Mega. That's who I'm going with at 23.
He's been on draft boards and radars for, I feel like, the last 3 years. He's still young, still 20, skilled. There was a matchup last year, I believe, where he played against the summer before, where he played against the Thompson twins and had a good game. Was really high on him. I think he had some injuries. He was just a guy that was like every year. And then this year he's kind of putting it together. I'll say this much, and I've mentioned it before. He was at the combine last year, and he did a pro day. He's with Excel, I believe. Did a pro day. If you've never been to a pro day, it's basically like whatever skill set you have, guys are showing it off for an NBA teams. If you're an athlete, you're out there just athleting. If you're a shooter, you're shooting. So Djurisic is a skilled guy who I think his best attributes would show up in a 5-on-5 game as opposed to like a pro day. Matthew Morrell from Ole Miss is jumping out the gym. I'm talking 40-inch vert easily. Eye above the rim, tomahawk, windmill. I mean, just literally jumping like he on a trampoline. Djurisic follows him. And I just thought it was a terrible look for him because he looked like an extremely poor athlete going behind someone that was literally flying out the gym. And even though, like, you're not supposed to base everything on a pro day, I just thought personally, like, it just made him look like he was a really poor athlete going up behind. I mean, here's a bad comparison. It would be like if you put Nikola Jokic in a athletic testing drill and you had him going behind James Wiseman, right? or Marvin Bagley.
Or Jackson
So,
Hayes.
yeah. So you're going to look at you're not going to be impressed with Jokic does, and athletic testing drill is not going to showcase his greatest strengths. If anything, Jokic and athletic testing drill is going to make you. I mean, you're just not going to be impressed by him. So I set out to say this. I feel like that kind of hurt Djurisic in a sense at the combine because he just did not look good and he didn't play in the 5-on-5s. And so his greatest attributes, which is his size and his playmaking, weren't on display. But I like the pick. I mean, you're starting to see people talk about him a little bit more, but if he's been a first round pick, it may have been a little delayed, but he's definitely worth a shot in the first round. But why do you like him?
He's a big wing, right? And I believe that he's only shooting like 35% right now, which is, I mean, I say only 35%, like the guys that I've talked about before are shooting 35% from three, but he's shooting 35% from three, and he's just a basketball player, man, is what I'm really trying to say. Like, he knows how to play basketball. He can score, he can play make a little bit. Uh, it's funny in my notes I have him as an at the rim athlete, and you told the story about the dude jumping out the gym, but I like him, man. I like his size. One thing I will say, he does use a lot of legs on his jump shot. So I wonder if like there are ebbs and flows as the season goes with him in his shooting, because like he's out there trying to use all his legs like Ray Allen, and like that's just not the wave, man.
And even then, like, I
So
look at guys that shoot like that. I just wonder about them landing. Like I literally
and he's a
cringe every
forward, yeah,
time.
he's a forward jumper too.
Yeah, but even then, I cringe every time I see Tim Hardaway jump. Use his max vert, Tim Hardaway Jr. That it is to shoot a jumper. And then you saw in the game last night he landed on somebody, but I think that's also why Tim Hardaway is somewhat of a streaky shooter. I think he's a very
See,
good
that's what I
shooter,
think too.
but because he uses so much leg and energy, I think that it has an impact on his consistency if it's a stretch where there's 3 games and 5 nights or something like that. And then he's a forward
And Tim
shooter.
Hardaway's out there taking charges too, so that takes energy. So you take a charge, you gotta pick yourself up off the ground, then you gotta go stand in the corner and you know do plyometrics to get a jump shot off. Like that stuff wears on you, man.
Mother's Day is coming up, and if you want to make mom smile, you can start Mother's Day with flowers, or you can surprise her with gifts from the brands that she loves, and they can be delivered the same day, the very same day with DoorDash. Now, mom's our gift, so you can gift her the best Mother's Day gift that is as thoughtful as she is with DoorDash. You can select from hundreds of expertly crafted bouquets to the best in tech, to self-care essentials and more, and they will be delivered right to her door. And it is never too late to show mom love this Mother's Day with DoorDash. You can surprise her with flowers, gadgets, and again, self-care essentials all in one place, delivered right to your door. So if your mom has a sweet tooth, or she's a tech enthusiast, she's a beauty connoisseur, she likes the outdoors, no matter what she's into, you can make her smile with fruit or flowers, makeup, tech, workout gear, and more. So get all your Mother's Day gifts all in one place and get 50% off your next order up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail. So order now at Locked On NBA. That's Locked On NBA. Use DoorDash and the promo code Locked On NBA. Terms apply. All right, next, let's talk about Monopoly Go. Now, I've been told I'm a competitive person, but I don't necessarily need someone to tell me that because I know I'm a competitive person, and I definitely know my brother James is competitive. And if you have a competitive side, you will be a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. And it is a great twist on Monopoly where you play not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations. You can build up amazing cities that bring you money. And the best part is you can play with your friends. You can play with your friends or family. You can charge them rent on iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But now you can heist all of their vaults and their riches, and the leaderboards will show you who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and family and people all around the world in time tournaments where you can earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, which is now free on the App Store or Google Play. I got a question. I want to know, are you tired of watching Fox Sports or ESPN because you have to turn down the volume because all they're doing is shouting and yelling all day? Well, you can make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24 hours a day, 7 days a week sports streaming channel, which is programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all of the yelling and screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right. At number 24, it is the New York Knicks. This pick is from Dallas from the Porzingis trade. If you're the Knicks, who are you selecting?
All right, so in my mind, I try to look at the roster, especially at the back end of the first round, and I started to see the light. I'm gonna go with Zach Edey right here. Hartenstein is a free agent at the end of the year, and I think he's gonna get paid. I don't know who his agent is. I know the Knicks do business with CAA, but I feel like Hartenstein, I want to say it correctly because they come for Stephen A every time he says it incorrectly, but that brother's gonna get paid. His energy and he can pass. Like I feel like he's due for a payday. I don't know where. Matter of fact, shoot, if we want to get a new center in Phoenix, I mean, why not him?
I mean, I just
But
think
I'm
that
gonna go with Edey there.
I think he ends up having to stay in New York. I think they just got to figure out a way to pay him just because I mean he
He's a
won
kid.
them the game with that offensive rebound.
Yeah,
Like without that, and I mean that was a historic game that people are gonna remember for a long time, even though it's just round one of the playoffs. But I think they
shoot,
find a
they
way to keep him because it's not like Mitch got like this crazy $100 million deal. And
that's
so
true too. Well, in the instance that he gets more money than they want to pay, I feel like Edey is there. I feel like Knicks fans would like Edey. Uh, big body, and I guess this is the moral of the story is after watching him play, and watching him play, he is not as mobile as Zubats, but it's not to me a huge drop off in mobility, if that
and
makes sense.
another thing that I believe could help Edie is that if you've been watching the playoffs, they're not running and gunning. It's kind of
Oh,
slowed
these
down. I
games
mean,
been in the
even the
90s.
the Mavs and Clippers weren't like high, it wasn't a high scoring game. So I think that kind of benefits Edie in a sense. So that makes sense. As
I
far
don't,
as me
yeah.
playing devil's advocate and being a hater, what if you're playing the Bucks and they got Lopez out there? Do you
Hey, man, that's not your night. It's Mitchell Robinson's night.
so
Or
basically you're saying
Hartenstein or
as
whoever.
as a wild card, he is just he's a wild card that you can throw in certain matchups.
Yeah.
All
He's
right.
a rotation big.
Back on the clock is the New York Knicks. Who do you have the Knicks selecting with their second pick?
All right, so hey man, we're gonna go with AJ Mitchell here, Cal Santa Barbara. Uh, they got away with it playing Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart heavy minutes. And I feel like they need, and then Jalen Brunson, another charge taking dude. Like you got to start building up some backup plans, some contingency plans for guys if they get nicked up, and if Tibbs, plays them heavy minutes. So I feel like AJ Mitchell as a combo guard would work there. Yes, he would definitely work there. I mean, they just traded for Alec Burks again for like the fifth time, right?
I
He's
forgot.
always a Knick or a Piston. So
Yeah, he's
they
not
just
even
traded for
playing.
he's out the rotation right now. But, you know, for those 82 games, I think you need another guard there, even with Deuce McBride playing well.
You know what? I can't really hate on that pick because he's a shot maker that can play both positions. I think he's more so of that combo, but I do think like if the Knicks are going to be built around defense like Tibbs, then you need that guy that can be like your shot maker that can get buckets. And I'm high on him. I think he will be able to get buckets. Good shooter, but that's not his go-to. He prefers to play with the ball in his hands. But you know what? I can't even hate on that pick. All right. Maybe I can hate on pick number 26. It is the Washington Wizards back on the
You're
clock.
not gonna hate on this pick.
All right. Who do you have the Washington Wizards selecting at number 26?
He's fallen a lot, did some more research, did a lot of digging, but he's still a first round pick. Svi Missi out of Baylor.
Okay. So you think he could be their center of the future? Because I don't even who's their center right now.
They don't have a center.
Who did they finish the
Yeah.
center? Who started
They
at center?
started day one.
Huh?
No, they started Bagley.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was
But
thinking,
I mean,
I forgot who, I wasn't really paying attention to the Wizards too much, but I know Gafford
It
had
was
been there.
Anthony Gill at one point. Uh, the European fella Tristan Vucevic. I don't know
He
how to
can't be
pronounce
a
his
five.
last name.
Vucevic, he can't be a
He
five.
was
But
playing the
I
five
like his
for him for a
game though.
little bit.
Yeah.
No, he was hooping.
No, he can play. He can play. I always remember I tried to go scout him and evaluate him at a game, and he got in for like 38 seconds at the end of the second quarter. I was like, man, I'm independent. I can't afford to be traveling across the globe to see somebody only play 38 seconds, and they only put him in to make sure whoever he was playing behind didn't pick up an extra foul. But I've always liked his game. But no, I like Missi just because I think he could be their center of the future. If Missi and Bilal Coulibaly maximize their potential as defenders, then you got your rim protector, and then you got your guy that's going to defend all over the floor. So I can't hate on that, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
What if he is still like just raw? Like,
Hey, that's good. Because guess what? 2025, we can get Cooper Flags. We get the Cooper Flag sweepstakes, man.
so
If
you're
he's
saying
raw,
if he's raw and bad, then you can just play him 30 minutes a game because his
for
rawness will
sure. That's
lead to a
exactly.
higher pick.
Oh
That's
yeah,
my
that's what
problem
we
with the
need.
NBA, man. If you mess up, you can be like, you know what, this wrong pick can turn into the right pick, right? But it is playoff time, and the NBA and NHL and baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on the app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit fanduel.com/locked on and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Next, let's talk about BetterHelp, because sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, whether it's big or small. Certain things can really start to get to you, and it is very important to let that out, especially to someone who is unbiased in your life. And therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team or who our team is going to draft and failed draft picks. And it's very important to speak to someone who's unbiased. And if you are thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It is designed to be flexible, and it is suited to fit your schedule. So visit betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. You can get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. All right,
Hey,
number
it's test food,
27,
man.
the Minnesota Timberwolves. Who do you have the Minnesota Timberwolves selecting?
He fits perfectly. Jamir Watkins, Florida State.
Okay, so you're going for, I wouldn't call it necessarily a reach, but it's definitely against the consensus. And why
I
does
don't care
Jamir
about the
Watkins fit
consensus.
with Minnesota in your opinion?
Man, look, Anthony Edwards has created that dog culture out there, right? And Jamir Watkins is a dog. Gets to the basket, right? Plays hard. Anybody that went to VCU is going to defend and play hard, right? Finished at Florida State. They normally have guys that defend and play hard. I like him a lot. I think he has upside. Him cracking that rotation is going to depend on him being able to shoot, though, because you got to be able to shoot. But maybe you sit here and say next to Nas Reed, my man Nas Reed, man, I was right about him so many years ago. Nas Reed and Towns, he doesn't have to space the floor because those guys can space the floor. Now, if they're playing five out and you have Reed and Towns on the perimeter, and Watkins has the ball, he's getting to the basket for sure.
What are any, and,
100%.
and this is my plan, the hater role, his reluctancy to shoot threes. He was a respectable 34% from three the last 2 years, but he does have a tendency to pass up open shots because he wants to get downhill. And when he gets downhill, it's either a bucket or a free throw attempt, average 6 foul attempts per game. Do you think it could work in a situation if he's on the floor with Anthony Edwards? Edwards draws two defenders, kicks it out to him, and he passes up an open corner
No,
three to isolate.
no. That's not gonna work, bro. We didn't draft you for that. We got Anthony Edwards for that, man. You need to learn how to shoot. All right. And that's what you have. Why you have OGs like Mike Conley to tell you, bro, you gotta let the ball go. You gotta shoot. And a perfect example is that my man Nikhil Walker Alexander was a sidestep king in New Orleans, sidestep threes in Utah. They cut all that out. Now you see he's a very valuable piece to their rotation in Minnesota by just catching and shooting. Now we want you to play with some freedom. We're not lock you into the corner, but like simplify your game. So Jamir Watkins, work on your three ball, make threes. You'll play a long time if you get the opportunity. If you can make threes, along with all the other good things that you do well.
All right, last three picks. The Denver Nuggets at 28. Who do you have the Nuggets selecting? And can this player possibly make their rotation?
No, nobody's gonna make their rotation, man. Actually, you know what? Maybe he can. I'm gonna go with Bub Carrington here, man. I've been high on Bub. He turned it around at the end of the season. He scared me for a little bit when he said he going back to school, but somebody threw the washcloth on his face. He washed his face, and now he's back in the draft. I think he works there. He gave me Reggie Jackson vibes before, and Reggie 34. Reggie be 35 next year. So I like him
Remember,
there. I
Reggie,
think
you
he's
must be talking about old Reggie Jackson because young Reggie Jackson was an athlete.
I mean, yeah.
OKC
I'm
Reggie
talking.
Jackson
No, I'm talking about
was
Clippers. Reggie Jackson.
was coming down the lane and
No,
banging.
not OKC. Not to do with the brush cut. I'm talking about to do with the nasty mismatched shoes. That Reggie
Okay,
Jackson I'm talking about. But no,
he's
I
he's a
think I
he's a
think Bub.
poor man's D'Angelo Russell to me. Without the
Uh,
without because D'Angelo was a nifty passer at Ohio State, but that's just
well, the passes are fancier, but I think
yeah, he can pass.
Bub got to be one of the top three passers in this draft. For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. So Bub is a great. That was my selling point with him. Live ball reads, he is great. He just needed to tighten up the shooting. But he's gonna have a heavier dose of mid-range shooting, and if he's not gonna get to the basket, there's not a better situation for that to work in than Denver. Because if you come off a Jokic screen, you're gonna get whatever shot you want. We know he can pass, so I like him there in Denver.
Which
Still a
leads to
Bub fan.
a tough situation in a sense because if you are Bub Carrington, let's say you do go to Denver and Reggie Jackson is there, the minutes are going to be very limited, and you could probably make, I mean, not necessarily in guaranteed money long term, but you're in a situation where you have to choose between going to college and playing significant minutes, or staying in school and playing significant minutes, or going to a championship level team and learning. That would be a tough
I'd rather
choice.
learn. It's not all good money isn't good money, but like you are in a championship opportunity. Reggie Jackson doesn't have 5 years left. It's not like you're a center getting drafted behind Jokic. Like there's going to be an opportunity to play. They're
If I
playing
were Denver,
Christian
I would look
Brown.
at adding a center.
Why? Jokic don't get hurt.
I know, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, I would look up adding some depth because DeAndre's not going to be there forever. And then the fact that you just, I mean, one of the biggest mysteries is why they paid, I can't think of his name right now. Their backup five, the kid from Arizona.
Najee?
Yeah,
James Najee?
why he ended, not James Najee, um,
Uh Zeke.
Zeke Najee, why he ended up getting
Zeke
such a
Najee.
significant deal to play little
You
minutes.
don't need no five of Jokic, man. Jokic is the most conditioned athlete in the NBA. He doesn't
Hey
get
man, you
hurt.
see where he's beating Anthony Davis on the floor?
Man, flying down the court, dunking. Come on now. We don't need to
LeBron
magnify.
caught a poster because AD didn't get back on D. All right, it's the last two picks. The Utah Jazz. This pick is coming from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Who do you have the Jazz selecting? You had them taking Cody Williams earlier. Who do you have Utah selecting?
All right, so Utah, embrace the tank. Take a project here. You took one last year in Taylor Hendricks. Let's repeat that. Get John Collins out of there. No disrespect to John Collins. I'm gonna go with Tidjane here. Tidjane Salaun, excuse me, from France.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he ends up going significantly higher than
See, but
20. I
here's
can't
my
see
thing
him
with him
falling.
though. His feel for the game is just not good, man. And we're not
Yeah,
talking about a center. We talking about a wing player essentially. He's a four, but like his feel for the game is just yo. He had a play the other day. He shot a mid-range jumper, Ralph, and it hit the top of the backboard from the wing. Like, how do you do that? I think his footwork is not good unless he's like wide open. He's just really, really raw.
no,
And again, I know this is the
he's extremely raw, but like you said, I mean, if you take him higher and he pans out, great. If he doesn't pan out and you're on a bad team, you just let that rawness lead to another high
but
pick. But 6'9",
here's
athletic,
my
motor, um, still
yeah,
shooting
yeah,
a
but
decent amount.
what
He's
but he
tough.
what does he show you outside of making three pointers? Is what
I
I'm
think there's
saying. So
flashes of
why
shot making, like as far as pull up. Like if you watch his film, he shows okay, he can shoot a pull up jumper. I've even heard people around France say Reese Shay's better today, but in 5 years, Tidjane is going to be the better pick.
you know who I was thinking about putting here? Another French brother, Pacome. Is it Dadier?
Dadier. Yeah.
Dadier, yes. I spelled it wrong the first time in my notes. Pacome has been hooping. And he can shoot too. So it's like, all right, I see what Tidjane does, but I also see what Pacome does. He's also 18 as well. So it's like, I would need somebody to sell me. Why is Tidjane a better prospect than Pacome?
Athleticism, the length and athleticism to the point where you
But
can
you're not putting the ball on the ground.
no, but he can
You
be
can't
like
dribble. So it's
he can
like,
play
are
that.
you really? I
I
don't know.
mean,
I think Pacome has
he could be
wing
the
playmaking
picker.
skills.
I do think that too, but I could see maybe somebody would see Tidjane as a guy that you can play as a roll man, as a guy that can roll to the rim, transition finisher, and so on. But there's some flashes of, I mean, people are gonna choose athleticism.
I get it, but his feel for the game is so
Yeah, he's a late
bad.
bloomer, and I've heard great things about his work ethic. All right, last pick,
That's
the
cool.
Boston Celtics. Who do you have Boston taking at number 30?
This was they don't really have any flaws. They can do whatever they want here. I'm gonna go with it's not a fit thing, but who knows? Johnny Furphy out of Kansas, 6'9" athlete. I think even though he did cool off a lot, he still shot the ball at 37%. 36% at Kansas. I like him. I know exactly what he is, and I feel like in Boston, there's always going to be wing minutes, because they're going to blow teams out. And, you can roll the dice and sit here and say, maybe he can develop into, I don't know, something more. But that's just like a good group of guys for him to be around, for him to develop. And like I said, he's 6'9". I think he's a great athlete. I know, great is rough to throw out there, but I like him.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree there. I mean, one, if I'm Furphy, I'm going back to school. Well, before Kansas brought in all of those,
picked up like 9 wings.
Before Kansas brought in all those guys, I would have returned back to school, because I think
Kansas looked like an AAU team, man.
I just think like now in this draft, there's so much uncertainty. I think there's so many guys that aren't going to be ready to contribute, and I feel like realistically, if you're not a top 20, I would stretch it, top 25 picks 26, 27, 28, 29, those might as well be second round picks, because you're going to end up in the G League. And with the money that's being thrown around to just average college, like above average college players, I mean, I've heard some guys that weren't even all conference getting 700,000, 800,000. It's almost like I think I may develop in college, because I mean, like, if you're Furphy, do you go to stay at Kansas and say, hey man, I want $2 million? Or do you go to Boston and you're playing for the Maine Red Claws? It's so
you're still getting $2 million if you're the 30th pick.
Yeah, but I mean, it's almost like you're in a situation where I just think you can be forgotten, because I just think you can be in a tough situation.
You can be forgotten year 2 of college, is what I'm saying.
But I also
or whatever year you come back.
I also think if Furphy goes back to school, he could be a lottery pick in 2025.
I feel like the 2025 draft is really, really strong.
Yeah, but not all of those guys are going to live up to the hype.
Not all those guys are going to pan out.
Because I mean, 100%. Like, think about 2023. 9 McDonald's All-Americans are in the transfer portal.
Oh, the whole roster winner. I get that, but I just feel like when you're on that, when you grow up as a kid, the ultimate goal is I want to go to the NBA. When you get that NBA buzz, right? When you feel like you're ready, like, you should go. Because
if you're not
you get hurt in college.
If you're not, in my opinion, with the money, because if you get hurt in college, you still got. I mean, you got. It's not as bad as it was 5 years ago. I think Furphy's not a lot.
Stock can drop by going. I think your stock can drop going back to college.
I definitely think
again, it's like, okay, you talked about your boy, Terquavion. He went back to school, and what did he do? It didn't work out for him. You had buzz. You go back to school, guess what? They go pick on some new flaws. He's still the same skinny 6'1" dude that he was before. He actually improved. And where's he at? The G League. So and I feel like he lost money going back to school.
But I don't think
he NIL money, right?
I don't think he had a first round guarantee either. So I think it's risky. Well, this could be a whole new subject. We're short of time. Once again, we can make this another episode. Once again, this is part 3 of a 3-part series. James gave his mock draft. We broke it up. Episodes 1, picks 1 through 10, 11 through 20, 21 through 30. Stay tuned for more content coming from us. And I know you have some comments about James's picks, so share your comments. Again, like, share, subscribe. Once again, it's Rafael, my brother James. We are out.